All right, here's an example. It's an inverse mutual fund, but even without truly knowing what that means, we can set up a system of equations with this, and that's the main focus here. And in fact, I want to use technology. So I know there's a bit on the screen here, um, but this is the question, right? And then I have the screenshot right below of GeoGebra, and it's taken from this website here. I don't know if you Google GeoGebra multipurpose interactive matrix if that would pop up or not. So there it is, just in case. Okay, let's check it out. So we have these three different funds, right? And they invest a total of 8,000. So total of 8,000. Uh, to get started in any word problem, really like defining your variables is key. And the question typically has a hint of that, like how much, right? How much did you invest in each of these three funds? So if you just say like X is the amount invested in that one, Y and Z, for instance, so the amount invested, and I'm not going to write out the whole thing because it's in this SHPIX, short, small cap, profound, whatever, mutual fund index. Okay. So if we invested a total of 8,000, then I could think of that as X plus Y plus Z equals 8,000, right? So that information has been used, including an equal amount in RYURX and RYZ or RYCWX, so these two. So if those two were equal and I called Y the amount invested in the second, Z the amount invested in the third, I could then state that Y equals Z, right? The amount invested in Y is equal to the amount invested in Z. But better yet, because we want to um, save time and use technology, right? If I put this in like a matrix form, this is equivalent to saying like Y, let me do a different color here. Y minus Z equals 0. Okay. Last, your year-to-date loss from the first two, I was doing this and not realizing it said the first two. So those small details are super important, and I kept getting weird answers. Like it was solvable, but it just didn't make sense. I think I got like negative 10,000 for the last two investments. Like, I don't know what that means. So if we lost 220 on the first two, so I'm only looking at these two. Oh, use different color again. Okay, these two. And the 4% loss of however much I invested, right? And 3% loss of however much I invest in that one, which I don't know, but we called it X and Y. That total will be $220. Right? So that's the info I'm going. And once I set that up, we've used all three. So if I lost 4% of however much total, I would multiply. And 3% of whatever the total, I would multiply, and their sum is 220. Using these three things, we could write it in this matrix form over here. So I went to GeoGebra, plugged in, remember, put zeros if it's missing an X, or like the second one was missing an X, right? Just put a 0 in there. So the respective matrix, looking at the first equation, we have 1, 1, 1, 8,000. 1, 1, 1, 8,000. Okay. The next one, we're using what I did in purple over here because that's in matrix form. This is an equation, but I want that form. So I had 0 for x, 1, negative 1, 0. Right? 0, 1, negative 1, 0. And the last one, we have take the coefficients, 0.04, 0.03, 0 for z, 0 for Z, 220. Okay. Now, when you first go to this site, you can edit the rows and columns. So I adjusted the columns, right? Remember, these are columns. We have 4, so 4 columns. And then we had 3 rows, because count this way, those are rows. So I put 3 rows, and then input the data, right? So I didn't want to include that in the video, especially the iPad that I'm creating this on. It's kind of touchy, so that website was being quite annoying. All right, once they're in there, usually it defaults this setting here to exact, which we really do like exact values, but exact value like 0.04 as a fraction, right, was like, that's 4 hundredths, so 1 over 25. Like, I didn't really like all those fractions in there, so I just left it as approximate. And also, really, we're dealing with money here, right? The amount invested. 1/25th, I didn't want my answers looking like that. So I changed it to approximate. Again, usually we do want exact, but in word problems, probably not. But now to have this do the work, what you want is to click this Show Reduced Row Echelon Form. Okay, and that's what yielded me to this next screenshot here. These are the solutions, right? Because really what this says is x plus 0y plus 0c z equals 4,000. So therefore x is 4,000. Remember, x represented the money invested, so 4,000 was invested in that first mutual fund, the SHPIX and SHPIX. Okay, and then we have 0x plus 1y, so y plus 0z equals 2,000. So 2,000 was invested in that second one, okay, whatever it was. And last we get 2,000 in that third. Okay, so the RYURX, RYURX, and RYCWX. Cool. I hope this helps you out. Again, I know I cut out the work in that website, but it's an awesome tool, free to use, right? Okay, good luck.